Chapter 2, Hollywood Moment. Back in LA, Stephanie asks me about the wedding, and I regale her with my exploits. She laughs hysterically, the same way I did when she told me about twisting her ankle while doing the Macarena at the wedding she went to back east. At least that's what she thinks she was doing, as she was actually in a blackout and so was never able to determine how it happened. People should probably keep us away from weddings, she says, when I finish the entire story. We're in Stephanie's office at Absolutely Fabulous, the celebrity weekly magazine we work for that's really just a glorified tabloid. Stephanie is cool and makes me laugh, something that's crucial since our other Absolutely Fabulous coworkers are about as cool as Sunday school teachers. They're also all in denial. Because of its high circulation rate, 5 million and rising all the time, Absolutely Fabulous employees talk about the magazine with the revered tone most might use to describe The New Yorker. We quite simply have the best writing and reporting of any magazine out there, our bureau chief Robert likes to say, and we all drink the Kool-Aid. Glimmers of reality peek into that otherwise glorious way of thinking. Like the fact that I'm sometimes embarrassed to tell people I work here, that the constant note I'm given about my articles is that I need to, quote, make my sentences shorter, and that the big joke about the publication is that everyone reads it on the toilet. But it's amazing how convincing a staff of roughly 30 people can be. People seem to stretch reality just enough to motivate themselves, but it's a little weird, you know? Can't they just say, when I was little, I didn't imagine that I'd make a living by getting waiters to confess what Brad Pitt and Gwyneth talked about over dinner, but hey, this is a popular magazine and someday I may work somewhere else. I know it takes a bit of denial for all of us to get out of bed in the morning, but sometimes the people at Absolutely Fabulous seem to be swimming in a whole river of it. Stephanie and I both started 2 years ago as interns, and while Stephanie keeps rising on the masthead, I've stayed an assistant writer since our internship ended. And look, I'm happy for her, but it wouldn't be terrible if my number one partner in crime were sort of in the same place as I am. Unfortunately, I seem to inspire a sort of figurative foaming at the mouth from my boss, Robert. This could have to do with the fact that I was hired by his second-in-command, Brian, when Robert was on leave. Maybe I'd just remind him of someone he absolutely hates. I try most everything to turn him around, but when people make up their mind about you, you could save their mother's life and they'd still think you were an asshole. Case in point, Brad McCormick, my high school boyfriend, who hovered somewhere around the 5'4" mark during our adolescent relationship. Though he's now about 6 feet tall, a late growth spurt, and unfortunately not one I was able to benefit from, to me, he'll always be little Brad McCormick. You ready? Stephanie asks me on a Thursday at about 6. She's standing at my cubicle, work bag slung over her shoulder, flashing the flask that I gave her for her birthday from under her coat. I used to get really excited about going to premieres. I think I imagined that someone would see me there and discover me for God knows what. I'm not an actress, or I should say I only am in my personal life. But I guess I thought I'd get discovered for being so amazing that I would need to be immediately removed from my day-to-day life and deposited into a far more glamorous existence. I thought that rubbing up against famous people would make me happy. But one night, when I found myself in a cigarette-fueled drunken discussion with Jeremy Piven at a premiere, it occurred to me, Jeremy Piven didn't seem too happy, so why should I be happy for having had the experience of talking to him all night? Stephanie and I stopped for drinks at some Westwood College bar beforehand. Or if I'm going to have to be perfectly honest and specific about everything, I should say that Stephanie stops for drinks while I stop for drinks and a few lines. Stephanie doesn't do coke. She used to have panic attacks and is convinced, probably correctly, that a few lines of cocaine would send her right back there. When I first started doing coke at parties, it was usually easy enough to count on being in the right place at the right time for a steady supply. But more than a few experiences chatting up thoroughly disgusting men, only to learn that they were simply fellow coke seekers themselves, had brought me to a breaking point. And so a few months ago, I finally asked someone for the number of a dealer. Then I got another. The sheer joy I felt over the fact that I can do coke whenever I want because I'm not relying on someone else to get it has made the additional expense almost seem irrelevant. I wander into the bathroom of the bar after a woman with gray hair in a bun leaves, and I shut myself in the stall furthest away from the door. Pulling a vial from my purse, I shake some coke onto the back of the toilet and chop it with a credit card. Then take a rolled-up bill from my wallet and snort it up. I hear someone come in and hold my breath while she washes her hands and thankfully leaves. Then I pour some more coke on the toilet and snort it. As I walk back to Stephanie at the bar, the metal taste of cocaine drips down the back of my throat deliciously. Some people say they hate the drip, but I love it. That practical evidence that the drug is working its way through my body. Ready? Stephanie asks. I smile, nod, and sniffle so I can swallow and taste more cocaine again. Leslie, over here, the photographers all scream at once at a beautiful blonde as Steph and I move briskly down the section of the red carpet where the not famous people walk. We seem to be surrounded by skeletal blonde actresses, all shimmering in their summer dresses on this uncharacteristically cool night as they smile obediently for the paparazzi. The way the photographers are jostling one another and screaming Leslie's name with such glee, you'd swear they were trying to get photos of Julia Roberts or at least the president or the queen or something. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Leslies with bit parts in movies like the mediocre one we're about to see, and only a fraction will continue to work in Hollywood after this current role. But that doesn't seem to be at the forefront of the photographers' collective minds. Still, we need to get out of the way. One time, a picture of Lindsay Lohan was almost ruined by the image of Stephanie, an extremely unflattering image of her at that, doing a shot with someone the picture didn't capture. That is me. The photo ran in about 100 magazines, and Stephanie has yet to live it down. Steph takes off at a good pace, but I'm waylaid by Leslie, the actress, as she steps backward, lodging her seemingly 10-inch red heel into my big left toe in what feels like an instant toe decapitation, if toes had heads. She starts to trip backward, but her publicist catches her, glaring at me for daring to slide my foot under her client's $700 shoe/instrument of torture. For an anorexic who couldn't weigh more than 98 pounds, Leslie sure knows how to put some weight into her shoe. Then again, the shoe probably weighs more than her. I limp up to Stephanie, who's witnessed the incident from the snack bar. She sympathetically hands me a bag of free popcorn with butter. Is it bleeding? She asks simply. I shake my head. Feels more like an internal thing, I answer. Like maybe she crushed the toe bone. Do toes have bones? Sure, she shrugs. Hospital? Oh, God, no, I answer as Matt Dillon walks in and waves at me. I wave back until I realize he's actually waving at the manly-looking woman wearing a headset behind me. The humiliation and possible broken foot are far from inspiring, but nothing a few lines can't fix, at least temporarily. Unfortunately, the bathroom is stuffed with wannabe actresses who somehow wrangled invites to this. They're drowning themselves in makeup and perfume to go sit in the dark for 90 minutes, after which they'll surely have to go through the whole routine again for the after party. We go into the theater, and once the movie starts, I venture back to the bathroom. Some security-type woman is lodged there and seems not to be budging. Is she some actress's female security guard? An employee of the movie theater? An insane stalker who somehow got a hold of some security-type uniform? I'm certainly not going to ask her. One thing's for sure, she's a buzzkiller in every way.